So there seemed to be enough interest the other day in this kind of Amnesia style grab and interact. All this stuff. So let's do that. Got a clean project here. And the first thing I'm going to do is set up the character to be a little bit more first person style. So I'm going to right click. You can do first person however you want, but this is the way I typically do it. I'm going to create a material that is just going to turn him invisible, m_invis. With this selected, change the blend mode to translucent, and then opacity to 0. I do it this way because then you still have access to the head bob. So let me just set these to be invisible. I'm going to grab my follow camera and attach it to the character mesh, deleting the camera boom. Select the follow camera, and we're going to attach it to the head socket in the right. Over in the viewport, we can see it's way off from where it needs to be, but if we click this, it'll default back to here. And then on the rotation, on the red, the X, we'll put that as -90, and that'll be good. And you can see it's still moving. It's because it's attached to the mesh, and the mesh has an animation that's playing, so it's registering that movement, even though the character's technically invisible. Let's set use pawn control rotation for the camera, and under character movement, we will set use controller desired rotation, and orient rotation to movement to false. The controller desired rotation to true, though. So let me show you why I do it this way. Personally. So right now it doesn't look like it does much, but when I move, it kind of has that subtle little bob effect. And you can tell if you jump, it kind of has a landing effect. But if I just set the mesh to invisible, it still kind of looks the same when you're standing still, but when you move, it gives this glidey effect. So, and when you jump, it's really noticeable. So I typically just set an invisible material so that we still have access to all the... And then you can even have access to animation blueprint, so if you got sound effects that play when they walk, then you can just trigger it with animation notifies, and it adds a little bit more life to it. Anyway, not while you're here, so let's jump back to it. Let's go into the third-person blueprint. We're going to add a component that is a physics handle. This is what we're going to use to actually grab any physics objects in the world. Let's go over into the event graph, and we're going to set this up for a left mouse button event. And when we trigger the left mouse button event, it means we're trying to see if there's anything in front of us that we can grab onto and pull around. So when we do this, we need to do a line trace from the camera to get what's in front of us. So let's grab the follow camera, get its world location and its forward vector. Then we'll do a line trace by channel, because we can only do this for things that are visible to us. So the world location is the start. We'll move this back. From the world location, we'll get an addition. From the forward vector, we'll get a multiplication. And this will be our reach range. Right-click, convert it to a float. I'm going to say 100 units for now. Plug that into the plus and then into the end. For debug duration, for duration, draw debug type. When this is to help you test. When you're done, just set this back to none. On the out hit, we'll break that hit result. We'll add a branch to see if we have a hit. If we do have a hit, we want to see if the hit actor is valid. Then we're going to see if the hit component is simulating physics. We'll add another branch. And if it is, then we want to grab our physics handle, set its location. This is basically like your hand reaching out. Your hand would reach out to the door and grab it at the hit location. So we'll plug in our hit location to the new location. And then we're going to grab component at location. The component we're going to grab is our hit component that is simulating physics. And the location will be our hit location. So we'll just drag this over here, double click, and just clean this up a little bit as we're going along. Not gonna worry about it too much. Alright, so we're grabbing the component at that location that we have recently just set our physics handle to. Now we need a way to actually pull it around. So we are going to go to our follow camera and add a scene component. This will be our grab handle. So as we move our camera, this will move. And if we move this to this location, then we'll be able to pull our handle around. So we'll set our grab handle, and we'll set its location, set its world location, to be that same hit location. And we'll set a boolean here at the end to be grabbing, because right now we be grabbing. But up here at the beginning, when we released, we'll just set this back to false. So we'll do a check with these little, where'd they go? Oh, these blue ones right here. We should be able to grab them. We should. Oh, I think we are grabbing them, but we need to update it. So it's not registering any movement because we're just setting the location. But then we need to update the location. So let's go ahead and do the other part. Let's add a custom event at the end of this. Update handle location. I hate that stupid tag pops up. Update handle location. After we're grabbing, we can call that function. At the very beginning, we'll add a branch to see if we are currently grabbing anything. And if we are, then we are going to set the location of our physics handle to our grab handle's location. So we'll get its world location. Just like that. We'll do a delay until the next tick. And then feed it back through, looping it on itself. So update handle location. And then compile, and now we should be able to grab stuff and actually... There we go. Oh, it's because it hasn't released. Right. So I can let it go and it floats. That's kind of funny. Alright, let's go back to our third person character, and when we release the grabbing, let's grab our physics handle, and we'll get the grabbed component. Check that it is valid. Because there might be a chance that we've just clicked the button, and once we release, it'll try to go through all this, but I want to make sure that it's got these checks and balances in place, and if it is, then we'll release the component. This should make it to where we can start flinging them things around. Oh, yeah. Alright, but now we need doors and drawers to grab. Doors and drawers. Alright, blueprint. So we'll right click, create a blueprint class of an actor. This will be our BP underscore door. We'll set the door up first. open it up, we're going to add a static mesh to represent our door, or for the visual aspect of our door, I suppose. We use just the door from the starter content, and we are going to set it to simulate Alright. In order for it to simulate physics, we're going to have to fix its collision. So if we double click the static mesh picture right here, we can go in here. And the reason we got to fix it is because if I click show simple collision, it has none, has no simple collision. But if we add a box simplified collision, then we can actually simulate physics. We can click the green outline and kind of scale it in a little. Whoa, whoa. I'm going to uncheck that. There we go. Make it fit a little bit tighter on the door. So now when we come back, now you'll see the simulate physics is able to be checked. So if you're ever having issues getting one of these to actually simulate, check the collision on it. So we'll drag it in the world, and as soon as we press play, you'll see it's gonna fall over. It's gonna stand there. But it should have fallen over. I guess it balanced on the edge. So how do we get it to simulate physics but not fall over? This is where physics constraints come in handy. So we were going to add a physics constraint component. So over here we can actually set linear limits and angular limits. Linear limits are its motion in a straight path, and the angular is its swinging motion. So right now all the linear limits are locked, but all the angular limits are set to free, and you'll see this red and yellow circle down here. These are the actual angles of it. So this twist motion, if we set it to locked, you'll see that yellow one's gone, and then we got this red circle. This is actually two circular planes. One's registering this direction left and right, and one's registering this, I think this direction. Basically 360. So if we set the swing 2 to locked, then you'll see that up and down one is gone. And if we set the swing 1, then you'll see it's the other one that's gone, and it's just the one flat plane. So this determines the direction that your door will be able to move. So for the swing 1, actually for swing 2 motion, I don't want it moving in that direction. I want it moving on the floor. Then we can set its, instead of having it set to free, we can set it to limited, and it'll give us this little pie slice. This is where it will be able to swing. So if we set the swing limit, we can set it to be about 100 degrees, and we can set a rotation offset. So if I set this to -90, then it'll face that way. And now our door will only be able to swing in that direction. So if I hop back out here, or I'm a liar, what happened? Should be limited. Oh, I think we got to set up the components, that's right. So we will go to the physics constraint, and component 1 will be static mesh, and component 2 will be the default scene root. I think I gotta actually do these backwards. Maybe this is the default scene root, and this is the static mesh. So it needs to know what it's constraining itself to. So we tell it it's constraining this and this in order to not go flying everywhere. It knows what it's handled. Why is it so herky jerky like that? Oh, it's okay. Let's just pick it up off the ground a little bit. Not near that high. Got the Snoop Dogg of doors way too high. And then, whoa. Seems as though we have a little bit of an issue. It's not doing like we think it's supposed to. So what we'll do is we'll just rotate. No, it's not rotating the door. Rotate the door and then reset our angular rotation offset. And that should potentially get it to actually swing as far as it's supposed to. Hmm. Anyway, we can move it now. Which means if we jump in, we should be able to grab it and start moving it with our mouse. So yeah, play around with the constraints in order to get it functioning the way you want, but this is the important part. So now we need to do the drawer. So BP actor, BP underscore drawer. Double click and open that up, and we're gonna add a static mesh again. That will just be a cube. I'm going to go with this one because it's 1 by 1 by 1. For this, I am going to add an arrow also to sit above it and let me know which direction is forward. And then for the cube, just going to shrink it down into more of a drawer-like look. Pull it up a little bit. Move this arrow down. And then we need to add a physics constraint on this one as well, so it doesn't just fall out of the air. Helps if I spell it right. Physics constraint. For the component one, it's the interesting. Default scene root. Right, that was the first one. Yeah. And then the second one is the static mesh, so we know what we're tying together. And now we're going to set its swing and angular limits all to locked, but we're going to set its X motion to limited. So the X motion is the red handle for this. We're going to set its limit to, say, 45. You can see now we got this green line underneath. You can position it right about there. And we'll set the static mesh to simulate physics. Compile that, we'll drop it into the world right about here. Rotate it around so our arrow's pointing out. Oh, we do also need to, for the static mesh, it's a physics actor, but we want to set its collision to custom. Ignore everything but block visibility and pawn. That way, in case it's like this, it won't start glitching out and spazzing because it's sticking into another object that has collision. So we can grab it and kind of pull it. The physics constraint will need to be tweaked to fit your specific settings because that way we can not have it do like it just did. But that's just kind of tooling around with those settings. But you may have noticed that I wasn't able to just pull it out with the mouse. It had to be pulled by moving the player, which is something you probably wouldn't want. What we can do is we'll go to our camera input because this controls our mouse. And for the up and down motion, we'll add a branch right here and see if our character is grabbing. If they are not, then we'll move our camera up and down. But if they are, then we will take this, copy it, and we'll paste it down here. We'll add a branch, check to see if they are grabbing. And if they are, then we'll just update our grab handle location based on the Y motion of our mouse. So we'll get our grab handle, get its world location, and then we will set its world location. So if we're grabbing, then we'll do this. We'll get the actor forward vector, because if we're looking at something and grabbing it, then we're pulling on it. And then we'll do our world location plus our forward vector times the float of our Y value. Plug that in here, and then that's our new location. I think we're going to have to reverse it. But let's double check this real quick. So if I grab it and I pull down on the mouse, it's pushing it away, and if I push up on the mouse, then it's pulling it towards me. We can fix that by going to our Y value and multiplying that times -1 before we times it by our forward vector. That inverts it. So now I can push it away or pull it closer. If you don't want the camera to be able to look left and right while you're doing it also, then all you would do is just go back to your look function and move this branch to this side. But keep in mind that when you go to doors, you won't be able to swing your camera. You'll have to just grab the door, grab the door, come on, and then pull it like this. Which could be fun still. I mean, it's enjoyable. Yeah, no, my body got in the way. But yeah, so there you can grab what you want. Oh, but you can't swing that around. So we would want to be able to do that. So let's fix that actually. What we can do, we will create a blueprint interface. We'll create an enumeration of e_grab type. And we'll add 2. So this will be standard or drawer. Then we can go to our object types and establish that enumerator. So this is a drawer. And then we'll set up an interface to pull that information. So blueprint interface BPI check type. Open that up. We'll add a function, grab type. It'll have an output of our enumerator called grab type. Then we'll set it to be that enumerator variable. Go to our drawer, add that interface. So BPI underscore, nope, check type, yeah. Compile, interface, name, collision, and blueprint. Function and property. Oh, object type interface name collision. Okay, recompile a couple times, seemed to work. So just change that to object type instead of grab type. So we can't have this variable that has the same name as this function. That makes sense. But we'll go to that interface, and when they call the grab type, we'll feed the object type over. So in our line trace, when we get a hit component that is simulating physics, we'll get the actor and get the object type. This is the grab type. And then right before we call our update handle location, we'll check our grab type. So when we're grabbing something, we'll see if we're grabbing and our grab type, which we can promote to a variable up here, grabbed type. If this is equal enumerator of drawer. Because when we're doing this, we're trying to pull the drawer out. And up here, if we're grabbing and grabbed type is equal to standard. Actually, you know what? We'll get rid of this. If grab type is equal to standard, then we'll do our lookup, look down. But if it's not, that means we're grabbing a drawer. So we should now be able to still look up. Oh, look up when I'm grabbing a door. But when I grab this, I can't look up, but I can pull the drawer. But when I grab... Oh, I can't look up and down. All right, so when we release component, then we'll set the grab type back to standard so we get our movement back. Sorry, this became kind of a debugging session, I suppose. But I want to make sure that the whole thing works the way y'all would want it to. I should have done that beforehand. So yeah, all right, there we go. So now we can grab the door and swing it. We can grab these and swing them around. But if we go up to this drawer, when we grab it, up and down with the mouse moves it in and out, like you're right here and then pulling it out. It's not able to come out very far, but that's just because of my character's capsule component. So you would need to adjust things like that. But there's the functionality for how to get it to actually work and pull out kind of Amnesia style. Wanted to make a joke so bad. All right, so yeah, hope y'all enjoyed it, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye bye.